Morning, all of you. Cloud computing continuation class. I welcome all of you. Module 5 and session 5. We will continue with our discussion on the Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Windows Azure is a cloud operating system built on top of Microsoft data centers infrastructure and provides developers with a collection of services for building applications. With cloud technology, services range from compute, storage, and networking to application connectivity, access control, and business intelligence. Any application that is built on Microsoft technology can be scaled using the Azure platform, which integrates the scalability feature into the common Microsoft technologies such as Microsoft Windows Server 2008, SQL Server, and ASP.NET. Let us move on. Microsoft Windows Azure platform architecture, which is similar to Amazon platform or Google platform. Here, in this picture, it is showing computing platform is available, storage platform is available, networking platform is available, as well as identity platform is available. So, in the computing platform, Windows Azure computing facility is being extended to the end user. Storage, like Amazon S3 and Google Bigtable. Here again, Windows Azure storage as well as SQL Azure. As usual, for the unstructured type of data and the structured type of data, both are being provided by the Microsoft. Networking, in case of networking, Windows Azure Connect, App Fabric Service Bus, App Fabric integration, content delivery network, App Fabric caching, and other related facilities are being provided, because the networking is mainly to deal with the bandwidth management, and because it should share the resources through the network, because multiple clients will be there. How they manage multiple clients at the same time and access a particular data, because there should not be any data redundancy, and while saving also, while accessing also, everything should be taken care by the networking infrastructure. So content delivery network is, again, we have already discussed this. Content delivery network is also one important criteria where data need to be provided for the subscription properly. So all these things are being handled by the networking facility. Now identity is again another, because when you are trying to access some data, you should have a proper authentication. So you should have identification. So to do that identification, there is an access control mechanism, because whenever you think about a firewall will have access control mechanism. Similarly, here also access control mechanism should be provided to cater the needs of the client. Okay, only for those who are having subscription should be provided the facility, otherwise no. So that is what. Okay, so finally, when these are provided by the Microsoft, so Microsoft Azure facility need to be installed on the local development environment, so that all these things are developed and it will be put onto the Microsoft Azure or Windows Azure platform. Okay, let us move on. The Windows Azure platform is made up of a foundation layer and a set of developer services that can be used to build scalable applications. These services cover compute, storage, networking, and identity management, which are tied together by the middleware called App Fabric. This scalable computing environment is hosted within Microsoft data centers and accessible through the Windows Azure Management Portal. Alternatively, developers can recreate a Windows Azure environment with the limited capabilities on their own machines for development and testing purposes. So normally what happens, you want to put your data into the cloud. What we do, we create our own environment and test here. If it is working fine, then only it will be put onto the cloud. So because cloud is a public cloud where anybody can access your data, access your program. So before actually deploying it to the cloud, the information need to be tested, which we have seen in our previous class also. We have said, emulators are there. Through the emulators, runtime environments are there. We test them, we develop. So deploy mechanism we have seen in the last class. Similarly here also. Okay, so we consider what are the different facilities which are provided by the Microsoft middleware also will be seen now. Okay, so in the middleware we have first one is computing service. Okay, the computing service provided which has got the core components of Microsoft Windows Azure, and they are delivered by means of the abstraction of roles. A role is a runtime environment. Again, look at it. Without runtime environment, we cannot do anything. So you should have a proper runtime environment for execution. Okay, so a role is a runtime environment that is customized for a specific compute task. Roles are managed by the Azure operating system and instantiated on demand in order to address surges in application demand. Okay, currently there are three different roles: web role, worker role, and visual machine. Okay, or virtual machine is a VM facility need to be provided by the Microsoft Azure. So these are the roles which are provided by computing service so that the program can be executed. So under computing service, we have web role, worker role, or virtual machine role. We shall see now. What is web role? Okay, the web role is designed to implement scalable web applications. Web roles represent a unit of development of web application within the Azure infrastructure. Okay, worker roles are designed to host general compute services on Azure. They can be used to quickly provide computing power or to host services that do not communicate with the external world through HTTP. A common practice for worker role is to use them to provide background processing of web applications developed with the web roles. Look at it. See, whenever you are providing the facility through the network, as I told you, KE, Karnataka Examination Authority, is using the facility from the Microsoft Azure. Okay, all students' data from the beginning, from application filling to the seat selection process, it is being done. All these are done through HTTP. All these are done through your web services. So you should have a proper mechanism to do these web services, and including payment of fee, that is also available in that. Okay, payment gateway need to be adopted, security need to be adopted. Okay, which I have given you just now before the start of the class. I have given you some examples. So just to see, all these are there. So you must have a proper mechanism to do HTTP, HTTPS also. Okay, so web role and worker role are very, very important in respect. So next one is virtual machine role, because whenever you are trying to do a computational facility, then you must have, you cannot have a physical server, so you must have a virtual server. Virtual server will be installed on your local machine so that you can use the facility of the entire hardware infrastructure on your system. The virtual machine role allows developers to fully control the computing stack of their compute service by defining a custom image of the Windows Server 2008 or 2 operating system and all the services stack required by their application. Please understand, the textbook is a little older. Now currently we have a higher version of Windows Server. The same thing will be provided by Microsoft Azure if you are going for a subscription. So same thing, Amazon mission image we have seen. Okay, AMI. Similarly, Google infrastructure. Here when you are providing infrastructure as a service, you must provide customized image of the server which is available there in your client machine, so that whatever you are trying to use, whatever you are trying to do some operation, as if you are using Windows Server latest version, at your system you will be able to do it. So you need only a minimal configuration to connect to the internet. You must have a high-speed network facility. Otherwise, everything will be available through your cloud service provision. Okay. The virtual machine role is based on Windows Hypervisor, Hyper-V, that is hypervisor virtualization technology. We have discussed the hypervisor technology in a previous section. Please recall that. So here is one example. Computing facility provided by the Microsoft. For example, extra small, medium, large, and extra large instances have been given. For example, suppose you want to have an extra small size computing facility. It is 1 GHz speed CPU, 768 MB memory they give you, 20 GB of data they give you. IO performance is low performance they give you. Hourly cost is $0.04. 1 hour cost is $0.04. For example, extra large. Okay, there is a small, medium, refer 9.7 table for details. Extra large is 8 into 1.6 gigahertz, 14 GB of memory. Instant storage is 2040 GB. And don't know, 2048 should have been there. 2040 GB. High IO performance. It is almost $1 per hour. Okay, $0.96 per hour. So it is almost $1. So, for example, if you think in Indian price around 75 or 80 rupees per hour, they ask you to use it. Okay, okay, that's how it is being done. Around 600 to 700 rupees for one day or 8 hours. Suppose you think of $8. 640 rupees they'll charge you per day. Think about it. So they'll give you high performance computing facility with an extra large mechanism. Okay, 8 into 1.5 gigahertz CPU, 8 core CPU with 14 GB of data. 14 GB of data, that is RAM, and 2048 GB of memory will be there for you. Okay. Next, you have storage services. In that, how storage will be provided to keep your data in Windows Azure servers. Compute services are equipped with a local storage in the form of a directory on the local file system that can be used to temporarily store information that is useful for the current execution cycle of a role. Okay. Blobs. So Microsoft Azure has got a different name called binary large object, which is called a blob. One blob is having large amount of data. Azure allows storing large amount of data in the form of binary large object, which are called blobs, by means of the blobs service. This service is optimal to store large text or binary files. Please remember here again, it's a stream of data. It is unstructured data. It is heterogeneous data. It can come, but it will be stored in the form of blob, which is binary large objects. Okay, two types of blobs are available: block blobs and page blobs. Block blobs are composed by blocks and they are optimized for sequential access. Therefore, as we said, if it is unstructured data, it is not a relational database. You need not keep information in the table form. You need to keep the information in a file handling form, so that file can be accessed, file can be seeked, file can be read and written. Okay, so how it is done: block of data, it is kept, it is in the media streaming at the time of writing. Okay, during 2011-12, it is because of the textbook, it is a little older. Blocks are 4 MB of data. Now it has been increased to a higher level. Okay, page blocks are similar to that. Page blocks are made of pages that are identified by an offset from the beginning of the block. Page block can be split into multiple pages or constituted by a single page. In this type, okay, it is having 1 terabyte of data per page. 1 terabyte of data per page. So you can have multiple pages can be made as a single page also. Okay. Next, we have Azure Drive. Azure Drive is a page block which can be used to store an entire file system in the form of a single virtual hard drive. So we call it as VHD. This can then be mounted as a part of the NTFS, like NTFS is used in Unix. Okay, system by Azure Compute Resources that providing persistent and durable storage. A page block mounted as part of an NTFS tree is called Azure Drive. Okay, so tables constitute a semi-structured storage solution allowing users to store information in the form of entities with a collection of properties. Entities are stored as rows in the table and are identified by a key, which also constitutes the unique index built on the table. Okay, so it is a table are semi-structured in nature. Allowing users to store information in the form of entities having collection of procedures and properties. Okay, entities are stored as rows into the table, like it's a part of a relational table. It's not entirely considered as a structured table, but it is a semi-structured table which can keep your information. But for each row there will be a key. Remember, for each row there will be a key. That is based on the key it will be. So if you recall your data structure, key with a row, it is a linked list of, say, a series of keys will be there, like which data structure you feel it. It's a hash table we use. It's similar to that. A table will be created, and based on the key, the data will be fetched. Okay. Next is we have a queue. Another data storage type, queue. Queue allows applications to communicate by exchanging messages through durable queues, and thus avoiding lost and unprocessed messages. Okay, so queues are worked in a form of first in first out style. As you know, it's a standard way of accessing the data. First in first out, first in first out. Okay, last in first out is a stack. First in first out is a queue. You know that already. So that's related to storage services. Infrastructure facility provided by Arc Fabric, because Arc Fabric is a mechanism which will communicate with all types of services, computing service, network service, storage service, so that all these services will be provided to the end user through your middleware. So Arc Fabric, okay. Arc Fabric is a comprehensive middleware for developing, deploying, and managing applications on the cloud, or for integrating existing application with cloud services. Arc Fabric implements an optimized infrastructure supporting scaling out and high availability, sandboxing and multi-tenancy state management, dynamic address resolution and routing. These are the facilities provided by Arc Fabric. Because it is a middleware, it should handle all this. So you need to maintain, which particular service is being accessed by the client, how to provide that, what is the networking mechanism need to be provided, how much bandwidth need to be provided, how much storage need to be provided, how to manage the subscription, if it is going beyond the subscription, what to do. All these things are intricacies related to communication need to be handled by this Arc Fabric. Okay, so let us see. Access control as well as service bus are mainly provided by the Arc Fabric. Arc Fabric provides the capability of encoding access control to resources in web applications and services into a set of rules that are expressed outside the application code base. These rules give a great degree of flexibility in terms of the ability to secure components of the application and define access control policies for users and groups. Service bus constitutes the managing and connectivity infrastructure provided with the Arc Fabric for building distributed and disconnected applications in the Azure cloud and between the private premises and the Azure cloud. Okay, service bus allows applications to interact with different protocols and patterns over a reliable communication channel that guarantees delivery. Okay, so these are the important things we wanted to share with you related to Microsoft Azure. There are other services also provided by Microsoft Azure. We will move on. So we have Azure Cache. Azure Cache provides a set of durable storage solutions that allow applications to persist their data. These solutions are based on disk storage, which might constitute a bottleneck for the application that need to gracefully scale along the client's request and dataset size dimensions. See, Azure Cache, it should provide the facility to quickly access the data. Very important, because a cache memory is actually used for accessing data very quickly. It should provide that facility. Data persisted on the Windows need to be accessed through the through the Microsoft Azure Cache. The service implements a distributed in-memory cache whose size can be dynamically adjusted by applications according to their needs. So Azure Cache is a fast memory which will be used to access data very quickly so that the data is available for the execution or for the computation. Okay. One more thing I wanted to add here, the service is priced, the Azure Cache service is priced according to the size of the cache allocated by the application per month. Even for accessing the Azure Cache, it is around $45 per month for the memory of 128 MB to 4 GB of data. It is $325 per month. That is the pricing for Azure Cache. Okay. So next we shall move on other services. Windows Azure Virtual Network. Windows Azure Virtual Network is to provide the facility to access Azure Connect, Azure cloud infrastructure, so that that can be accessed from a remote location. How a virtual network can be constructed, as you already said, virtual network can be created through the hypervisor. Networking services for applications are offered under the name Windows Azure Virtual Network, which includes Visual Connect as well as Windows Azure Traffic Manager. Windows Azure Connect allows easy setup of IP-based connectivity among machines hosted on the private premises and the roles deployed on the Azure cloud. This service is particularly useful in the case of VM nodes, where machines hosted in the Azure cloud becomes part of the private network of the enterprise and can be managed with the same tools used in the private premises. Okay, Windows Azure Content Delivery Network. Next is Windows Azure Content Delivery Network. Content Delivery Network CDNs are provided is the that improves the content delivery capability of Windows Azure Storage and several other Microsoft services such as Microsoft Windows Update and Bing Maps. These services allow serving of web objects like images, static HTML, CSS scripts, as well as streaming content by using a network of 24 locations distributed across the world. So, content delivery network is used to series of data. Either it is a non-textual data, most of the times images, videos, and other type of data will be served by the content delivery network. So here web object, it is treated as web objects, which are images, static HTML, and cascading style sheets and scripts are being provided by this Windows Azure. Next, we have SQL Azure. We shall see SQL Azure. SQL Azure is a relational database service hosted on the Windows Azure platform. As I told you already, most of the applications needed unstructured data. This cloud platform is for the unstructured data, but even in the case of legacy software development, relational database management is being used now also. Most of the applications, at least 50% of the applications are in this area. So you must have a relational database management now also. So relational database management is provided through SQL Azure. SQL Azure is a relational database service hosted on Windows Azure and built on the SQL Server technology. This service extends the capability of SQL Server to the cloud and provides developers a scalable and highly available fault-tolerant relational database. See, you must have all facility of asset properties of database to give the capability of the relational database. Okay, so SQL Server is, once the SQL Server is available, if you have a high-speed network, as if you are connected to your data storage, you are connected to the SQL Server. Nothing else. That how the data is transmitted, how the data is understood, and it is returned back is the big question. That is what. That's why we require middleware. That is app fabric must be there so that it will understand your communication. SQL Azure is accessible from either the Windows Azure Cloud or any other location that has access to Azure Cloud. It is fully compatible with the interface exposed by SQL Server. So application built for SQL Server can transparently migrate to SQL Azure. So it is very easy. Suppose you are using internally now, currently you are using SQL Server facility that can be deployed directly without any hassle. from existing infrastructure to Azure infrastructure for SQL. Okay, so next is let us see this architecture. You can understand a lot of provisions given here. PHP provision is given, SQL Server applications and WCF web services, HTTP and REST services are provided. ADO.NET is there. Open database connectivity is there. Suppose you are working with Java, you need to connect through JDBC also here. Tabular data stream TDS is there. Okay, and look at these service layers available: billing and metering, connection routing, provisioning, billing. See, these are the service layers, and then platform layer is available. SQL Server is there, SQL Azure Fabric is there, management services are there. So there will be multiple instances of this data, so that people can access the services available in that. So the top layer will be for the client layer, okay, and the second is the server layer, you can think of, or infrastructure layer, we can call it as. So you can see infrastructure layer, and this is the client layer. Okay. Now the final one is Windows Azure Platform Appliance. The Windows Azure Platform can also be deployed as an appliance on third-party data centers and constitutes the cloud infrastructure governing the physical servers of the data center. The Windows Azure Platform Appliance includes Azure, SQL Azure, Microsoft specified configuration for network, storage, and service hardware. The appliance is a solution that targets governments and service providers who want to have their own cloud computing infrastructure. Okay, so let us see the observations of this chapter. Windows Azure is a Microsoft solution for providing and developing cloud computing applications. Azure is an implementation of the PaaS layer. As I told you, Platform as a Service, it is providing Windows Server as well as SQL Server are all platforms. So it is providing PaaS layer and provides the developer with a collection of services and scalable middleware hosted on Microsoft data center that address compute, storage, networking, as well as access control mechanisms. These services can be used either individually or altogether for building both applications that integrate cloud features and elastic computing facility, which is available in the cloud. SQL Azure is another important element which will be provided for relational database management system. SQL Azure is an extension of capability of SQL Server, which can be easily adapted from the existing infrastructure to a new infrastructure with a dynamic scaling. So I think I have come to the end of the session. I will just thank you very much. We shall go to the question answering session now. We shall move backward. Let me stop my presentation. Thank you.